shining on my sleeves, and I've tasted every one, so I can tell you that they're good. They're very good. And if there's 2 bites gone, I got the worm too.
Oh my goodness. This is a beautiful state park. They have nice walking trails that goes by the river. Over there, they have tennis courts, picnic areas, and walking through the woods, down by the river, and of course the old Fort Watauga right here, very historical. This is a very historical town, worth the visit.
Kind of jump around to do it.
So you all are celebrating Old Christmas today?
This is Old Christmas because when Julius Caesar set up the Julian calendar, he didn't make an allowance for the fact that the solar year is not exactly 365 days. And by the Middle Ages, the calendar had gotten so far out of date that it was 10 days or 11 days off from the solar calendar. So Pope Gregory ordered a new calendar, and they took 10 days off of the. You went to bed on October the 4th, you got up on October the 15th. And well, that calendar was accepted in countries that recognized the Pope.
So is it like on a muster week?
And so, so that was the Catholic countries, but the Protestant countries were slow to recognize it. So England was one of the last ones to go to the new calendar, and they did that in 1740. Was it
1752?
52? Was that anyhow? And so there were some people here in the colonies that didn't want to go along with that. So for them, that they didn't lose the 10 days. So that makes. This would be Old Christmas. This is the date they would practice.
Thank you, madam, and Happy Christmas. Happy Christmas.
So this is the day that they normally celebrated until
it works
the
out that way.
6th.
It depends how you count it. Some people count Christmas Day as the first day, and some people don't count it as until the day after Christmas. And then you have 12 days, and then where's 12th night? Is it going to be the 6th, the night of the 6th, or the night of the 7th, or so?
Okay. Well, I have never heard of the term Old Christmas, and I've heard it twice just this season, and I thought, well, I'm going to come and check out what that is.
What is Old Christmas?
What is Old Christmas? And I love your outfit.
This is St. Nicholas.
This is St. Nicholas.
And I'm Krampus.
Krampus.
Yeah, now St. Nicholas brings good presents to the good children, and I bring bad presents to the bad children.
Oh, well, I don't want to talk to you. I want to talk to St. Nick.
Coal in their
He's the one.
Rotten potatoes.
Yeah.
Well, at this time, during the colonial period, most of the settlers in this area, a lot of them were Scots Presbyterians, and they did not recognize bishops or the Pope or any. But the Dutch continued to honor and recognize the bishops, especially one bishop of Myra, St. Nicholas. So in 1771, the Dutch in New Amsterdam started the St. Nicholas Society to help the destitute patriots that were having trouble. And they introduced Sinterklaas into the colonial traditions for Christmas.
Well, y'all are staying warm out here, I see, today with your fire.
There.
Indeed, madam, they won't let us come inside, you see. None of us we're all paupers. Not the fine lady there. But we begged for a fire, and that's how much they gave us this morning.
Well,
just this wee little bit. But we're doing the best we can. We've been begging for the people that have gone by. Of course, we're not begging exactly because we know that's illegal, but we are asking for alms.
Okay. Well, stay
Selling
warm.
apples too.
Yeah, we've got holly for sale.
Slightly used apples.
I'll sell the holly here for you.
A halfpenny.
Halfpenny a stalk, or 2 for a penny.
Okay.
But now I have fine apples here, madam. Beautiful apples that I've been shining on my sleeves, you know, and I've tasted every one, so I can tell you that they're good. They're very good. And if there's 2 bites gone, I got the worm too.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
And that's fine. But see, I've been
worm than half a worm.
keeping them really nice and shined up so they look good.
Yes, those are looking good and shiny for sure.
They are indeed. And you won't find anybody else guaranteeing their food the way I do.
Okay. Well, I think I'll go inside the fort and see what's going on in there.
Oh, there's
Each
nothing
one
but
of the
a bunch of
cottages
snotties
is a
in there.
different cultural customs of Christmas.
Okay.
In the 18th century, most communities were culturally homogeneous. So you'll see there are some things that carry over from one to another. Everybody liked to use greenery at Christmas time and have food and so forth like that. But you'll see individual distinctive cultural differences in the different cabins.
Okay.
Those small cabins, a normal size family is 12 to 15 people. So can you imagine 12 to 15 people living in that small cabin down there? So this would be a cabin big enough for 30 people. Can you imagine 30 people living in here? It could be the grandparents, parents, children, and grandchildren, and great-grandchildren, you know. Or it could be that, you know, a woman's lifespan was only 35, 40 years old. So a man may be married 3 to 4 times and have 20 children. Wow. That was very common. And bring it back, and they could go to Williamsburg and be back in 2 weeks' time.
Wow.
So it was very, you could get and have a pineapple very easily done. If you had the money, you could do it.
Gifts was exchanged during the Christmas celebrations, but it was done by status. You did either from a high status to a low status, but not from low to high. So
She was the powder maker.
And how did she decide or get the job, or?
You had to have a job. You had to have a trade.
Yes.
If you were a young boy, by law, you had to have a trade by the time you were 15. And most places where you in this area, by law, when you were 15 and you were a young boy, you had to have your land and your home by law. So boys.
So once you got your land, you started building your cabin.
Boys most of the time left home at 9 and 10, never to live home again because they had to learn a trade.
Holy hell!
It took 7 years to be a blacksmith.
That's true.
Wow. So boys usually left home. You signed your son away. You no longer had any control of him. Mary Patton's father happened to be a black powder maker from Scotland. She was born in England, and it was against the law for them to make powder because you had to have a license from the king.
Right.
And they ended up here in the colonies, and she was the black powder maker of this area. She was married to John Patton, who was a black powder maker as well. And the powder they made was so good that they could sell it for $1 a pound, and you could get 3 acres of land for $1.
Wow.
One of the last ones that surrendered, mainly because of us being so remote and because Pontiac, he was not going to give us up. He was such a strong ally. Our commandant had to finally go to him and say, you've just got to let them through and take the fort. So we finally, 2 years later, we kind of limped our way. They called it the Cour d'Invalide because by that time people had filtered away. We knew we'd lost. It was just like when are they getting here, you know? Yeah. So the Cour d'Invalide was all the old guys. So we're doing a real good portrayal there, the old guys. You know? But so some of them went to the little town of Prairie du Rocher, which is about 4 miles outside of our fort. Some went across to St. Genevieve in Missouri. You may have heard of St. Genevieve. And that was under Spanish rule. And the King of Spain and the King of France were cousins. So they felt like they were still in the family. And they were still fighting the British. Common ground. Some of our people took their cabins down, flipped their roofs over, and because we were right on the river at that point, they put their belongings in and floated across. And two of the people who floated across were Pierre Leclerc and Auguste Choteau. And the Marines and those two gentlemen who floated across, they founded this little settlement, and they called it Saint Louis. And today, there's this big arch right over where that settlement was, and you guys call it St. Louis.